This is Into Math 3rd grade, lesson 13.3, represent and name fractions of a whole. I can use a fraction to name an equal part of a whole and an equal part of a group. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 362. You can pause at any time and we will start under Build Understanding Part 1. May draws a hopscotch game that has 6 equal parts. She uses pink chalk to number the first 2 squares and green chalk to number the rest of the squares. What fraction of the squares have pink numbers? Show May's hopscotch game. If you would like to pause and try this part on your own, you may do so and come back, or feel free to follow along with me. So I know the first step is that there are 6 equal parts. So I am going to draw 6 equal parts. I'm going to do that by drawing a rectangle and then drawing 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 equal parts that represents the hopscotch. I'm going to write a number in each hopscotch to understand that each part is equal and it has its own number. There are 6 equal parts of this whole hopscotch. Now I'm going to go back into my word problem and read that she uses pink chalk to number the first 2 squares. So I will put a P for pink in the first 2 squares. Then I go back to read that she used green chalk to number the rest of the squares. So I will write a G for green and the rest of the squares. Now I'm ready to answer part A. How many equal parts are in the whole? Well, I have numbered them. There are 6 equal parts because it tells us that in the word problem in the beginning, and that's also what I have drawn. Now let's take a look at part B. How many equal parts are being counted? We want to find out that fraction of the squares that have pink numbers. So we are counting these 2 squares. So we can answer that there are 2 equal parts. Now let's look at part C. What fraction represents the squares with the pink numbers? And it lets us know what we need to do. The squares with the pink numbers go here because those are the equal parts being counted, which we wrote was the number 2. Then we're going to write the total number of squares, which are our equal parts in the whole, which we said there were 6 equal parts of the entire hopscotch. So we have created a fraction that represents the squares with the pink numbers as 2/6. Now let's take a look at part 2. For this hopscotch game, the green squares represent what fraction of the whole? Write the fraction. Again, if you would like to try this on your own, you may pause and come back or just follow along with me. So we are taking a look at this hopscotch that's provided. We are looking for the amount of green squares as a fraction of the whole. So we need to write that fraction. So let's take a look at part A. What is the denominator of the fraction? Well, we need to take a look at our connective vocabulary to understand what a denominator is. A denominator tells us how many equal parts are in the whole or in the group. So we need to start by knowing how many squares on this hopscotch are there. So we should count that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 equal parts in this whole hopscotch. So our denominator of the fraction is going to be 8. Now let's take a look at part B. What is the numerator of the fraction? Again, we will take a look at our connective vocabulary for the word numerator, which tells how many parts are being counted. And we know that the parts being counted are the green squares. So we can count that there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 green squares, which is our numerator, the parts being counted. Now let's take a look at part C. What is the fraction? So first they ask us to put in the number of green squares, or the numerator, which we know is the number 4. And then they ask for the total number of squares, or the denominator, which we have counted as 8. So our fraction is 4/8. Let's take a look at the next page, page 363, part 3. Tommy is playing 6 green marbles. To win the game, Tommy must capture all 6 green marbles. Complete the fractions to show each round of the game. And then it asks at the top of this, what fraction of the 6 green marbles does Tommy have? So we're going to look at each round, and they have drawn boxes, blue boxes, to demonstrate each round. So I will start by just looking at round 1. First, I notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 marbles, which are the whole group, and they have written 6 as the denominator. I am looking for the amount of green marbles, and I find that there is only 1, so I will write 1, which is the number being counted, as the numerator. So I am creating the fraction 1/6, or 1/6, for round 1. Now let's take a look at round 2. Again, we see that we still have 6 as our denominator, because there are only 6 marbles in the group. And this time we see that there are 2 green marbles. So we will write 2 as the numerator, or the amount that we are counting, which are the green marbles. And we have created 2/6, or 2/6, as the fraction for round 2. Now let's look at round 3. We find that there are still 6 marbles in the group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we will write in 6 as the denominator, or the amount of equal parts in the whole, or in the group. Then we see that there are 3 green marbles. So we will write 3 as the numerator, because this is the amount of parts that we are counting. We are looking for those green marbles. So we have created the fraction 3/6, or 3/6, for round 3. Now we're ready for round 4. Again, we find that there are 6 marbles in round 4 in this group. So we will put a 6 as the denominator, the amount of equal parts in the whole, or the group. And this time we find that there are 4 green marbles. This is what we are counting, so we will write 4 as the numerator in this fraction. And we have created the fraction 4/6, or 4/6, for round 4. If you would like to go back and re-watch this video, you may do so, and pause along the way as needed at any time.